If I describe myself today, I would like to say that I see myself as a problem solver and a bridge builder. Problem solver and bridge builder. I do that in several ways, and one of the ways in which I do it the most, enjoy it the most, and have the greatest success is working with startups and working with family businesses. I do that in three ways. One is through working with the founders as a sounding board and as an advisor. Because being a founder, being a CEO, being a startup head is very often a lonely job. And one of the ways in which you are lonely is that you really have no one with whom you can share your apprehensions and fears. Because if you do that with your subordinates, and you are the top, so everybody's subordinates, it freaks them out. They want to see you as a pillar of strength, but we are all human. So when you are at the top, you have your own anxieties, you have your own fears, and almost no one to talk to. And that's where somebody like me comes in, because I can walk that path with you, because I have walked that path myself, and you can confide in me completely. I'm like a steel vault. What goes in doesn't come out, and nobody on the pain of death can take that out from me. So you can be completely frank with me, total integrity, total honesty, and most importantly, I will tell you what I know you need to hear, not what you like to hear.
Okay.
So at that level, usually the problem is people have a lot of sycophants is a strong word, but a lot of people who will talk to them because they see them as a source of revenue, a source of power, source of authority. So they will sing their own tune. Now you don't want that. As the top person, as the business family head, as the founder, you do not want people simply to say yes sir to everything. You want somebody to say, excuse me, I think that is going to create a mess. I think this is not a good idea. You need someone to say that. Most people will not, almost nobody will. That's where somebody like me comes in. And I will tell you, that doesn't mean I will not praise you. I will praise you if that is deserved. But if there is something that you're doing which is a mistake, I will tell you that. So that is the first way in which I help them. Second way is through helping them move from being person-led to being process-driven. This is a very important thing in scaling of organizations. Any entrepreneurship starts with the individual, and it is person-led by definition, has to be. But unless you can scale that and convert the goodness of the individual into processes which are replicatable, you will never grow. So growth is dependent on changing from being person-led to being process-driven. And the third way I help them is by succession planning and mentoring of successors. So in your organization, typical question I ask you, for example, I ask you, Maharaj, you are an entrepreneur. If you drop dead now, who is ready to take your position? I want you to give me a name. Now.
Right now.
Failed.
Maybe my co-founder Kevli, but yeah, I'm failed.
Not maybe. Absolute certainty. Absolute certainty. That's required. I'm just saying, may Allah give you a long and healthy life. But I'm just saying, this must be what a founder should be able to do. Wake him up in the middle of the night, say, if you die now, who takes your position? Must give me a name. And that person whose name this person has named, the person he has named, that man or woman, if we do a complete audit on that person must be fit to be the CEO. That's the standard I hold to myself, and that's the standard I hold anyone who deals with me. I hold them to that standard, right? Another question I ask them is, in the next 3 years, what will kill your business?
Okay.
Again, these are things I expect them to answer me straight away without thinking. Why? Because you have been thinking about this throughout your life. This is a constant thing in the back of your head to say, what will kill my business in the next 3 years? And I'm working on it from today. A lot of people get very complacent, especially if you're doing well. Yeah, well, everything, I'm making money, I'm doing this, I'm traveling, whatnot, I'm living the high life. You get complacent. Believe me, that's where you get caught. And then you have nowhere to go, because especially in tech areas, but not only in tech areas, the world is changing. People are changing, opportunities are changing, technology is changing. And if you are not on top of it, if you are not anticipating and saying, what is going to kill me in the next 3 years, believe me, you are dead already. So that's what I do.
Oh, okay. This is interesting. Sheikh, thank you. I'm also a founder, and I never thought of this question. So I have a couple of questions, but I will go from the reverse. The last one you said. Okay, you say that there should be someone who can replace me. Even though if I die today, there should be someone. But in the context of a startup, like even at this moment, I'm having a hard time to build the first generation member. How can I think about my second generation?
Yeah. So therefore, you have an excuse, and you have a legitimate excuse.
Okay.
But that's only because I know when you started and so on, right? But if I talk to you 1 year from now, I won't accept this.
Okay.
So the question is that there's always a question: when do I start thinking of the second generation? And there's no holy number. You can't say on the 12th day of the 3rd year. No. But as the sooner you do that, the stronger you will be. Now, especially as a founder, especially as even if you have co-founders, initial stages, founders run around like headless chickens, right? Run around, because everyone, who's the go-to person? Me.
Yeah.
So if this garbage bin has to move from here to there, who must do it? I must do it. So yes, you must do it. I agree with you. But the point is that you must also think in terms of the future. Now, I'm not saying just build an organization as in build bureaucracy, because that's the second, the other kind of mistake people make. When they build an organization, they just recruit people. So you had 2 people who were doing all the work. Now you have 20 people doing the same work. Now that is bad. That is very bad, because then you're just building bureaucracy. And then those people, in order for them to exist, what do? They put roadblocks. Every piece of paper must be signed by me. I must approve this. I must approve that. So at the end of that, the organization becomes disconnected with the actual customer. The organization processes get slowed down. This you don't need. This you do not need. So I have a tool I use. I ask people, take the number of people you have, divide it by your revenue, right? Divide your revenue by the number of people, and tell me how much revenue is each person contributing.
Okay.
So now, it's not an academic exercise. For example, if you say I'm making $1 million and I've got 1,000 people, it's 1 million divided by 1,000. No, that million is coming from which of these 1,000 people? So you will find that out of the 1,000 people, you've got 10 people who are contributing 50% of that million.
Yeah. Okay.
Whereas the other people, they are contributing many of them are actually contributing nothing. For example, HR people. I mean, I'm in my opinion, all HR departments must be sacked. They do absolutely no useful work. All they do is to pretend to take away the work of the line manager and do that for him by saying human relations we will deal with. That's nonsense. Human relations is the line manager's work. Line managers must be trained to deal with people. Not shift them off to some HR manager to deal with, right? So anyway, that's it. I don't want to get sidetracked. So the question that you asked is that build the organization, but don't build bureaucracy, and definitely look at successors. So there's no magic number, must be done in 1 year, 2 years, but as the sooner you do that, the stronger your organization will be.
You said look at the successor. Can you please explain this one? I didn't understand this one.
Very simple. Look at the successor, meaning who will take your place, who is ready to take your place. Now, even if the person is not absolutely ready, do you have a plan? Do you have someone on a track to say, this person, I'm training him specifically in these areas so that he will become ready to take my place in 2 years, in 3 years? Do you have someone on that track? Now, in many family businesses, this is assumed. So, you say, who's the successor? My son. the fact that he is your son does not make him the successor. It's like saying, I'm flying a plane. Say I'm flying my favorite plane is the Boeing 777. Absolutely fabulous plane. So, say I'm flying a Boeing 777, right? I'm sitting there. Now you say, who can fly this plane? My son. Does your son have a license? Is he a pilot? Is your son cleared on 777s? What do you mean your son? The genes don't make him a pilot. It's very important. Now, if your son cannot fly a plane which costs, I don't know what the Boeing costs, 777 probably costs, I don't know. Anyway, let's say $1 million for the sake of, If your son is not fit to fly a plane costing $1 million unless he is qualified technically to fly that, how is your son qualified to run the whole Boeing company? Because he's your son.
Okay, I like it.
You get the point I'm saying?
Yeah.
But a lot of family businesses operate on this principle, and that's why they perish. So you have the first generation which literally puts their life blood into it to build the organization. Second generation in a lot of family businesses is really it's kind of overlaps the first generation. So the first and second are almost the same in most places. Third generation inherits it. So the third generation kid is born in a Mercedes. The first generation went around on a scooter, right? So he knows the value of a Mercedes. Yeah. The third generation is born in a Mercedes. So as far as he is concerned, you walk into you get into some of those cars of these third generation people with their children. The car looks like a garbage can with 4 wheels, right? Everything of that kid is there: stinky shoes, stinky socks, half-eaten bagels. The car looks. For God's sake, this is a Mercedes Benz. Treat it with respect. Clean the damn thing, right? No. Because they're used to it. I mean, that's for them, you don't bother about it. But the one who worked for it is the grandfather, and he is crying tears. Because the values have not been transferred. So that is why as far as succession is concerned, we need to identify potential successors and then groom them, mentor them and train them into the job, which will require technical training, which will require even more personal training of how to deal with people, how to make deals, how to negotiate, how to arbitrate, how to resolve conflicts, right? How to make presentations, for example. Very simple. People, they have all the most beautiful knowledge in the world, but they have some accents are just very difficult to understand. So they have this crazy accent which nobody can understand. So all the knowledge they have, but nobody can understand what the guy is saying. And then their presentation skills are, they suck really. So they don't know how to present that stuff. So the wealth of capability, information and so on is locked in. Only for this reason. So somebody's got to identify that and then say, okay, now I'm going to take you under my wing and I will guide you, I will train you. Most founders, most business heads, even if they identify, they don't have the time to do that. Because the guy's got to run the company. That's where somebody like me comes in and say, okay, you run the company, I run your succession plan, right? And then when these guys are ready, you bring them to you. You see if you like them, you don't like them, we do whatever we want, whatever we need to do.